So this is gonna be my in-depth Darkrunner guide for 6.0 for Unchained. So in this guide we're gonna go over the weapon type, the armor type, and the combos that goes more in depth into it. That's a little bit more complex than the basic guide. And also we're gonna go into some little tricks that you can do inside 1v1 arena and some general knowledge that you should know of. Alright, first things first, we're gonna talk about the weapon type. You can either go two-hander or dual wield for a Darkrunner. Now, Swiftblade is coming out, so you might want to consider going dual wield if you want to go for the Swiftblade skill tree. But a lot of people have asked me, and honestly, my personal opinion for Swiftblade is that it just forces you to go dual wield, which I think is worse than going two-hander, and it doesn't combo into any of the other skill tree that well. And also the general skills inside of Swiftblade just don't do that much damage. So personally, I'm going two-hander for Unchained, but that's up to you to decide. If you are going dual wield, I would suggest going axe and also katana. This way you get the crushing bonus, and you also get the slashing bonus. This way you do 20% more damage to plate and 20% more damage to leather. Now, if you're going two-hander, then you should probably consider going either Great Sword or Great Axe. Great Axe gives you 20% more damage to plate, and Great Sword gives you essentially piercing, which is 15% more damage to plate and 3% more damage to cloth. Now, there is a debate whether you should go long spear or great sword in that category, but I would suggest just going straight up great sword because great sword has a 1.1 attack speed compared to long spear's 1.2. So you get that 0.1 more attack speed from the great sword than the long spear, which gives you more damage and less global cooldown. Alright, next up we're gonna go over your basic skill trees. Rather than basic skill trees, it's actually just called basic skills. So what you will really want to have binded to your hotbar is shoot arrow and defiance. Shoot arrow will give you the ability to basically deal consistent range damage, but you're not going to be relying on this for DPS at all. We'll go over to why you need this binded later on in the video. Now, Defiance is really important because there's no longer Shrug It Off and Bound Breaker that can actually get rid of most CCs. But Defiance, most importantly, it gets rid of Stun, Trip, and Pale Fear Sleep, and all that jazz. Just right now, currently, it's on the 30-minute cooldown. But when 6.0 comes, it's actually going to be on a 6-minute cooldown. And the cooldown always resets upon death. So that's really important for you to have it bounded, just in case that you do get tripped somehow, and you can just pop in, teleport out immediately. Now, there's also the racial skills. So for Nuya, in terms of PvP, you have Nuya's Blessing, rank 1, which increases all your stats by 8%. Now, I know for the cats, they have a racial skill that makes them immune to fall damage for like a minute or so. And that's really good in terms of arrow PvP, where if you want to drop down and you know you can always pop it if someone bubble traps you, and then Insidious Whisper you to prevent you from fall damage. So that's really good. So make sure you have these skills binded onto your hotbar as well. All right, now we're going to talk about the more complex combos for Darkrunner that most people won't really know about. Um, I should mention in the basic melee guide video, I listed the 4 trip combos that you could do, but I forgot that there's actually another one. The fifth one being that if you thwart, you can shaken them, and that actually slows them, and then you could go right into a whirlwind slash, and that actually trips people. So now using what I just told you, this is the first combo that I'm going to show you. I'm going to show you a total of 3 that you can do. So first of all, you're going to pop all your buffs, and you're gonna save thwart. You're going to Tiger Strike in, and then immediately thwart, Whirlwind Slash. Now they're tripped. Do your pin down Precision Strike combo. Then you're going to Hammer Toss them into charge, so you trip them again. And now what you're going to do is that you're going to stealth, and then you're going to Shadow Smite. This way it does a shit ton of damage. Like right there on Scarecrow, we did almost 60,000 damage to them. And then eventually you can backdrop into Sunder, into Throw Dagger. So that's the first basic combo. Alright, now we're going to show you guys a very simple combo that you can use to engage pe on people with. The gist of it, before I do it, because this combo actually requires low latency, low ping for you to be able to complete it regularly, so when I'm explaining it, it actually won't happen. So what you're going to do is that you run backdrop into behind main lines. This way, the backdrop cancels your Sunder Earth animation, and then when you behind me in lines, after you behind me in lines, you're going to whirlwind slash them. This way they're tripped. Now while they're tripped, you're going to immediately use your Sunder Earth. This way it does 58% more damage to trip targets. And then immediately after Sunder Earth, without the animation of it, you're going to go into the rest of your whirlwind slash, which is two of them. So basically, if I do it really slowly, you can see it's going to be backdrop, behind me in lines, whirlwind once, Sunder Earth, and then whirlwind twice again. Now, keep in mind that you want to do this a lot faster than what I just showed you, and I'll have a clip right after this showing you what it actually looks like. But basically, it's just show like that you're basically just doing three whirlwind slashes, and all of a sudden a Thunder Earth just comes out of nowhere. All right, all right. Now we're going to talk about the last guide that we're going to do for this video, and basically it's an improvement upon one of the combos that we did for the basic melee guide. So essentially, what you're going to do is that you pop all your buffs, go for Tire Strike, go for the charge, triple slash, whirlwind, trip, and then do pin down. This is all still the same. Then you do hammer toss, shadow smite. Now they're tripped. Now this is where the combo gets different from the original one. Instead of going into position strike immediately after and then drop back into sundering earth, what you're going to do is that you're going to sunder first, and then you're going to position strike like that. Then you can drop back, throw dagger, and then behind me in lines if you want to. So what this combo does instead is that by the time, most of the time, the other combo that we showed in the basic melee guide is that right after you trip them with Shadow Smite, and then you position strike, and then you drop back Thundering Earth, they're already going to be out of your trip. So your Thundering Earth probably is going to miss, and you're not also going to get the 58% damage to trip targets bonus. So instead, as soon as you Shadow Smite, you're going to go straight into Thundering Earth and then Precision Strike instead. This way you get Thundering Earth off immediately, and you also get the 58% bonus damage, and then you also get the Precision Strike back off of it as well. So this is a much better combo than the one we showed in the basic melee guide. Alright, now we're going to talk about for Darkrunner versus Darkrunner specifically, and also for 1v1 arenas. So for these type of scenarios, what you really want to do is that you want to have stealth available to you, because stealth is actually really important in 1v1 arenas, and also since it combos into Shadow Smite now. So there's a couple scenarios where you should be using stealth. So you can stealth when you see the opponent's pops their important buffs and they're just charging at you. You can just drop back stealth and then they won't be able to find you and weigh out the cooldown. Now a lot of people don't like playing like this, so that's also understandable. Now to counteract against that strategy is that you can use your basic arrow and basically just deal damage to them. And then if they say they stealth right now, and then I shoot a basic arrow at them before they were stealth, and the travel time before that, then it's actually popped them out of stealth. So it's the same thing as applying a bleed, a electrified effect, or poison to the enemy if you just use your basic arrow. So that's why it's really important to have basic arrow binded to your hotbar and be able to spam it out. Now, another thing that's really important that Basic Arrow does is that when an opponent thwart to you, they mitigate 5,000 damage from the first instance of received damage. So if you just do a basic 1,500 damage to them, that will mitigate 5,000 damage that they were supposed to be mitigating. So as soon as you see another Dark Runner or any Auramancy class that pops Thwart, just pop a Basic Arrow at them, and that just gets rid of this the buff that they just got. Now, another thing in arena or open world PvP that you should keep in mind is that every once in a while there will be a buff that comes up on your bar here, and basically the buff will say like trip immune or snare immune. Now, if this happens, that means that in a short amount of time you were being snared or tripped very frequently within a very short amount of time. So when you see that buff comes up, it comes up for 30 seconds. If it lasts 30 seconds, so within that 30 seconds, you should never stealth or run away or do anything of that sort. Just charge at your opponent. in because they're not going to be able to use any CC on you if you, especially if you have both snare and trip immune on, especially versus Darkrunners because that's basically the only CC that they have. Alright, so that's gonna do it for this video. I try to make my videos short and then no clickbait. But if you guys want anything else covered, or for me to make another video on something else, please let me know in the comments or on Reddit when I post it. I do stream, so if you have any general question and you see me streaming, just pop in there and then ask me, and I'll reply to you, get back to you as soon as possible. Other than that, thanks for watching.